Welcome to the Skeptic Zone, the podcast from Australia for science and reason.
Hello and welcome to the Skeptic Zone, episode number 427 for the 25th of December 2016. That sound you can hear in the background, that's the sea lions, the famous sea lions at Pier 39 in San Francisco. I'm here in the Bay Area at the moment enjoying a nice, cool, crispy Christmas. And if you're listening in Australia, it's Christmas Day if you've downloaded this straight away. If you're listening in North America, in that part of the world, it's Christmas Eve. And if you're listening from somewhere else in the world, who knows what it is. But welcome to the Skeptic Zone nevertheless. Richard Saunders here with you, the producer of the Skeptic Zone and one of the hosts. Merry Christmas to Stefan, the other co-host of the Skeptic Zone, who periodically drops by to do an introduction. Coming up on this week's episode of the Skeptic Zone, we're going to kick off with an interview I did in New Zealand at the recent New Zealand Skeptics conference with a very old friend of mine, Loretta Marron, also known as the Jelly Bean Lady. Jelly Bean Lady because when she was really starting out in her quest to fight quackery, she was using jelly beans instead of homeopathy. Well, they're both made out of sugar. Anyway, she got to be known as the Jelly Bean Lady. She used to tape a jelly bean to her head and say it was just as good as magnetic therapy in the early days. Early days? About 10 years ago, I suppose. Anyway, Loretta was in New Zealand for the Skeptics conference there, and I chat to her about Friends of Science and Medicine, which, stagger me, is 5 years old. One of the organisations we like to support here at the Skeptic Zone, Friends of Science and Medicine. Find out more with Loretta Marron. Then after the break we have an interview with Michael Marshall from the Merseyside Skeptics, conducted by Eran Segev as part of his ongoing series of interviews from QED a couple of months ago in Manchester. So Eran catches up with Marsh just before QED, and Marsh is all optimistic and full of energy and ready to go. And then he catches up with Marsh after QED, and not only Marsh, with Nicola Throp as well, and Geoff Whelan from the organising committee, and we'll discover how they feel after QED. Now, this is an interesting lesson for anybody wanting to put on a convention or a conference. Listen carefully to what Marsh, Nick and Geoff say about the convention, how it went, what they did right, what they did wrong. It's an invaluable little insight into holding conferences and conventions. That's coming up in the middle of the show. Then to round off the show, what would the Skeptic Zone be without Maynard? I'm not sure. I want to find out. It's a Merry Christmas, a very Maynard Christmas, in fact, from Maynard. I catch up with Maynard, well, a couple of weeks ago in our favourite cafe at Glebe in Sydney, Glebe Point Road, the cafe known as Madame Frou Frou, where we often meet up to discuss skeptical matters and other things. Anyway, Maynard and I get together to wish you all Happy Christmas. Sort of, in a way, kind of. And don't forget to check out Maynard's podcasts at maynard.com.au. He's got a string of them he's put out in time for Christmas. Well, that's enough for me right now. I'm going to run upstairs. It's Christmas Eve here, but I think there's a roast chicken if I'm lucky, and maybe some cashew nuts and peanuts, which I love, some roast potatoes. You know, the sort of thing, folks. Wherever you are in the world, dig into your Christmas dinner and enjoy this episode of the Skeptic Zone. Well, I don't think my next guest has been on the Skeptic Zone for a little while, which is a pity. It's the woman we all know as the Jelly Bean Lady, Loretta Marron. Hello.
Hello, how are you, Richard?
I'm well, I'm excited. I'm really happy to be here at the New Zealand Skeptics Conference. in beautiful Queenstown sort of area, we'll say.
It doesn't get any better. Absolutely beautiful venue. Spectacular.
We're sitting in a couple of chairs. The meet and greet's happening in the next room. We gaze out the glass doors, and look at that view, the mountains. It's just incredible.
Yes, it's all Lord of the Rings country, they tell me.
It has to be said. It has to. I was thinking I wouldn't say it, but it has to be said.
There's a lot of other movies as well.
A lot of other movies as well, yeah.
Wolverine, I think Nadia, the whole lot. They're all somewhere out there in these fabulous mountains.
Xena, Warrior Princess.
Oh, I'm sure. Oh, most definitely her.
Yeah, that was filmed here. Spartacus, the TV series, was filmed here. There's a new documentary on ancient Rome filmed here.
Oh, wow. Wow.
It's all happening here in New Zealand, folks.
Goods.
It's got the goods. Let's talk about Friends of Science and Medicine. And you told me something which nearly made me fall off my shoes. 5 years old.
5 years old on December 20. It's amazing, isn't it?
I wouldn't have the years go by, and if I had to think, I would have said, it's been around for 3 years at least, but 5.
Yes, we've been pretty busy in that time, and time does fly when you're taking on all sorts of interesting people.
It does. Now, for those listeners who are maybe new and haven't caught up with Friends of Science and Medicine, what's it all about?
It's about making sure that medicine has, or interventions that you're offered by your health practitioner are backed by credible evidence. And that's currently not the case when it comes to chiropractors, osteopaths, Chinese medicine practitioners, and of course naturopaths, homeopaths, the list goes on, kinesiologists, reflexologists, Reiki, and on and on. There's about 1,000 different interventions that are currently published on some website. And I'm sure that, there'll be at a naturopath near you.
There is. As a matter of fact, there is. But what would you think would be the largest slice of that pie? Would it be chiropractors?
The work that we've been doing is primarily chiropractors targeting babies and children. That's been our thrust because our issue is that the law or the way the regulator is operating is not effective. Every time you send in a complaint, a legal eagle has to set up a paper for them. Well, currently they're looking at least 650 complaints as of last month, and then we handed them another 200 for osteopaths who are also targeting babies and children.
Now, tell me something about osteopaths. I mean, we concentrate so much on chiropractic in the skeptical community that the osteopaths sometimes go under the radar a bit. What's their story?
Well, osteopathy in itself is quite often it's gentle massage. It's not cracking your neck or cracking your back. And they're generally not anti-vaccine, but they've got these really weird and wonderful interventions called cranial osteopathy, one of them which is heavily promoted from a college here in New Zealand. And what they do is they put slight pressure on the baby's head to move their skull bones, which they claim moves their spinal fluid around their spine and cures them of, guess what, ADHD, asthma, allergies, bedwetting, colic and ear infection. That's right.
We've heard this all before, haven't we?
That's right. Every profession seems to come out with the same self-limiting conditions with their own intervention to target them. They've also got another weird one called visceral manipulation, where they claim they squash all your innards, externally do that, to cure quite a lot of health conditions. But we haven't looked at that one because that's primarily adults. But the big one is the one where they target the newborn babies and the children.
That's staggering. So no, I have not heard too much about them because I think, as I said, the chiropractors sort of take the limelight.
Oh, they do. But what we're being helped with, there are quite a few good chiropractors who just do backs and osteopaths who just do massage type things. And they're actually out there helping us, dobbing in their mates, which is and they can't actually name themselves because they'll be so ostracised from within their own profession. Yes. And that's what we need. We need chiropractors to take on chiropractors and osteopaths to take on osteopaths. But the numbers that are evidence-based are few and far between. And in reality, there's not a lot of evidence to support any chiropractic intervention. But at least for some people, they do get some relief from spinal manipulation. But not what they're claiming, but still.
Yes. Well, I mean, do osteopaths have the same belief system with the energies in the body and this sort of thing?
Not so much. Just the cranial osteopathy is just something, they come out of university and they're doing quite a good job. And then, of course, they go out into the world and they can make a lot of money targeting babies and children, and that's what happens. It's all about the money. The worst thing is that these courses, they get professional development hours in attending these courses. And although lately I've seen a few less courses being advertised, because as soon as they're advertised, I send them straight to the Australian Health Practitioners Regulation Agency. In fact, we've had now between us 7 meetings with APRA, and it's having an effect. Yeah.
Friends of Science and Medicine have their enemies, don't they?
Oh, we certainly do. I think there'd be quite a few like to run us down or whatever it is. But the problem is all we ask for is evidence. And they can't produce evidence, so they go on the personal attacks. That's right.
So in the mind of some of these people, you must be just non-believing troublemakers, or do they think you're from Big Pharma, or what's their story?
Well, that is a funny one too. Sometimes they say we're from Big Pharma. We're funded by Big Pharma. And as you know, the only money we've ever got was from the Skeptics about 5 years ago, $3,000. And I spent $1,000 of it only because we want to get a new website.
Right.
So we haven't actually touched that. We're self-funded. Yeah, I got an email from someone saying they're going to dob us into the charities, and I said, I'm sorry, we're not a charity. Then they said, you're using students as shrills, and I said, I'm sorry, but the people that run Facebook are not paid. So and then they had a go at me. They said I was pretending to be a doctor, and I said, if that was the case, the professors would shoot me. Because that's the one thing that I've never tried to pretend is to be a medical practitioner.
But what you say is very interesting, and it just drives home again what we know. They would rather spend their energies attacking you or making up these stories or whatever, rather than produce evidence.
That's exactly right. Yeah. They don't want to. I mean, if you look at how much research is being done by chiropractic and osteopathy, it's very, very little. And if it is research, it's normally about patient contentment or growth of chiropractic in the country. It's not about whether a particular intervention works, although a couple have come out recently that actually failed to produce results. So it's no wonder they don't want solid evidence. Yeah.
But and it would be the old story, of course, that many of the chiropractors firmly believe what they're doing, of course, without doubt, and many of their patients firmly believe that it works without doubt.
People, when they're in pain and they go to a chiropractor, and the chiropractor gives them soothing words, they get the placebo effect. And if they form a relationship, these are very nice people. It's like naturopaths. You meet them and you think, these are very nice people. Yes. It's not surprising that the people get on well with them. And also they make promises their doctors don't. Doctors will just tell you the truth. These people will lead you to believe that they can cure anything, and they've got some weird and wonderful machine, a live blood analysis machine, electrodermal, all the big words, and they're all flashing lights to diagnose them and treat them and send them off. And they're just 20 visits and they might be cured.
Well, it's interesting you should say that. In my talk tomorrow, I'm going to be discussing one of these wonderful devices used by some naturopaths, which looks scientific, looks computerized, looks advanced and cutting-edge science, but simply a box of tricks. But yeah, they're what's the word I'm looking for? They're really abusing science, aren't they?
They are. Now, you'll probably find that this box of tricks may be listed with the Therapeutic Goods Administration. Now, I sat there with the head of the national manager, and I showed him a Bicom machine, the advertising, and it made all claims that it could cure everything, right? ADHD, all sorts of things. And he said, there's nothing I can do because the sponsor doesn't make those claims. It's one of the practitioners. The TGA can only target the sponsor, which is why when the HemoView, the live blood analysis machine came out, they could target HemoView, the people, which was ethical nutrients, live blood analysis comes out of a massive sponsor in Brisbane that produces those sorts of things, Metagenics. And that is, as a part of the Ethical Nutrients Group, Health World Proprietary Limited. They could target them to say, clean up your act and go right to your suppliers and tell them to remove their advertising. All we can do is get rid of the advertising. Yeah. They can still do what they want in their clinics. Yeah. But if you can get rid of the advertising works. And therefore, if that's all we can do, well, that's what we should be concentrating our efforts on.
Yeah, we do what we can. Well, the people sort of poking their head around the door, I think we should go back into the meet and greet some people.
I think so. These are Kiwis and they're enthusiastic skeptics. They're absolute wonderful bunch of people.
They certainly are. But before we go, where can people find out more about the Friends of Science and Medicine?
Well, we're on on Twitter, on Facebook, and our website is www.scienceinmedicine.org.au. and they can contact me anytime they want. But follow us on Facebook and Twitter. That would be really good.
Thank you, Loretta.
Thank you, Richard.
This December in California, I'll be giving my talk Strange Energies and Even Stranger Devices, Too Good to Be True, on the 29th and the 30th of December. The talk on the 29th of December will be in Berkeley and on the 30th in Irvine. My hosts for the Berkeley event will be the Bay Area Skeptics, and my host in Irvine will be the Orange County Science Club. For more information and to book your seat, see the show notes linked to this episode of The Skeptic Zone. I'm looking forward to seeing you in California.
Grain of salt, grain of salt, grain of salt.
Let's all take this with a grain of salt. Here's Eran Segev.
Grain of salt now. Grain of salt, you gotta take it with a...
Okay, so I'm in Manchester at QED.
You're not at QED yet.
No, not yet. It's Friday. I'm here with Marsh. Hi, Marsh.
Hello.
It's good to see you again.
It is very nice to see you. It's always nice to see you and anyone from the Australian Skeptics. You know, I've always had such a good friendship with so many people there. But yeah, lovely to see you in this country, Eran.
But you'll be visiting us soon anyway, right?
I will be very soon visiting you, absolutely.
Okay, we'll touch on that in a second. So, it's Friday. Skeptic Camp is already going on, but QED hasn't started.
That's right.
Can you tell us a little bit about what's going to happen this weekend?
I'm not sure, to be honest. I think it's going to be really busy. So we've got I think we've got 666 people actually here, oddly enough. I think it was 667. We realised somebody can't make it. So we think we've got 666, which is quite fun. But it's also 660 people in a hotel that we're in charge of. So yeah, we've got a lot going on at once. I think we've got 5 different rooms all running at the same time, and with podcasts and panels and main stage talks and workshops, and it's the biggest QD we've ever had, and probably the biggest kind of challenge we've ever taken on to run so much stuff at once. But I'm excited. I think it should be fun. You know, we're looking forward to it. Every year, people seem to really get what QD is about. People seem to enjoy it. Everyone comes, and it's a big sort of point for the community to get together. And even what we notice is just walking in with boxes, 50 people stop us to say, can I help you with something? Can I grab something? Do you need a hand with anything? So yeah, everybody just seems to get what QD is about and seems to want to be part of it. And I think that's what we've always wanted to go for in terms of the spirit of the event and the feel of the event. And yeah, people really seem to buy into it. And hopefully that's going to show throughout the course of the weekend. Everyone's going to have a really great time, I hope.
Yeah, well, there's definitely always it's my second QED, and there's a very strong sense of community. Now, this year you're actually doing something a little bit different to the way you've done it in past years.
Yes, we're doing a few different things. So normally we have 2 rooms running at once, and this year we've got 5 or even 5, or at least 5 rooms running at once, where we've got the main stage that we'd always have, and a panel room which is kind of always running parallel to give you some hard choices, and then we've got a podcast room with some really quite big podcasts going on in there, so that should be really fun. And then we've got another room with workshops where you can learn magic or learn how to be an investigative journalist from like experts in those areas, and then we've got a film room that'll be showing films the whole time, and we've got another room with a special optical illusion exhibition from Richard Wiseman that's going to be open the whole time. So it's more, I've always seen QED as a festival, and this is the most festival-esque QED we've ever had, where you walk around this whole building and everything in this building basically for weekend belongs to us, and we're trying to stuff as much skeptical content into every little corner as we can. So we're hoping that people will enjoy just kind of the feel of walking around and sort of getting into things as they come across them, really.
Okay, well, I think I'll let you go sort things out, because it's obviously a very, very busy time just before the weekend, and I'm sure I'll catch up with you throughout the weekend.
Definitely do, Eran, definitely.
Okay. Thanks.
Grain of salt, grain of salt, grain of salt.
I'm here with Marsh and Nick, who are some of the organisers of QED. I actually caught up with Marsh on Friday morning.
2/5 of the team of organising QED.
I should point out that, first of all, it's Sunday after QED. Marsh hadn't probably got a lot of sleep, and he's
maybe a bit of alcohol is involved as well.
You talked to me earlier, Eran, and I'd like to see how Skeptic Zone listeners compare the earlier me, which is the pre-conference. Marsh is thinking about things that are going to come up. Marsh is always thinking about where should we next? Who's coming up next? What should we be doing next? This is me where I've got no idea what's coming next. I don't know what the next word out of my mouth is. I have no idea.
Sorry, I should probably point out that is usually the case.
90% of the time, the 10% of the time that's not the case is where I'm running a QED, and you made the mistake of asking me when I was running a QED at the very start for an initial interview.
Oh, was this on Friday?
Yeah, on Friday morning.
Oh, okay.
Yeah. So so now that it's done, it's the sixth one, right?
Sixth one.
If I may, before you actually tell me about your perspective, I just want to point out that completely as expected, it was brilliant. It was really great. The speakers were great.
Thank you.
The entertainment on Saturday night, the dinner and the entertainment were great.
Fun, wasn't it?
Yeah, it was really fantastic.
I liked it a lot.
The recording of Skeptics with a K over Cara Santa Maria was great.
The good thing about this year is that we've got so much stuff going on. We don't want anybody to miss anything, so we didn't want anybody at the conference to miss Skeptics with a K. So we thought the best thing to do is to play the recording of Skeptics with a K over some of the other speakers, so we double up on content. That is it's an innovative strategy. No other conference in the world is doing this innovative strategy where we play two things at once.
So I should point out that is a reference to the only tiny little glitch that happens through an entire complex weekend with multiple streams and lots of speakers and 666 attendees. So that is brilliant.
You're right, Eran. You're alluding to the only thing that's going to keep me and Nicola up tonight, terrified and embarrassed and absolutely appalled at the terrible, terrible mistake that we've made. So thank you for bringing this up during an interview that's only going to be broadcast on the opposite side of the world. Absolutely fine. It's fine.
But it's actually okay because we have listeners all over the world, so it's not just in Australia.
Yeah, some are going to be nearby. Some are going to be nearby enough to come to one of our other events, so that's good. People will be like, oh.
Well, no. The thing is now, it's about expectation management, as Richard Wiseman would say.
Very true.
So, your perspective on how do you feel about the weekend now?
I'm not sure. I'm pretty tired, if that counts. I think it went really well. I think there was a bit of nervousness at first because it's the biggest QED we've ever had, the most attendees we've ever had. We've had multiple tracks, which is a new thing. We've always had multiple tracks, but additional tracks, so that's a new thing. And there's always a bit of unease and wondering how it's going to go. Are people going to enjoy it? Are people going to turn up? Are there going to be any problems? But I think everything that I've seen and from what people have said to me, they've enjoyed every bit of it. And they've really appreciated the additional content, and it's just given them additional headaches in terms of choices that they've had to make about what to see and what to do. So it seems like it's gone really well.
Yeah, I think the fascinating thing is that we thought that we've run two tracks in the past. You get the main room and the panel room, and it's always been fairly good. Is that people are like, I don't know what to see. I'm kind of torn between seeing this or that. And we thought when we add so many more people, when we add so many more tracks, maybe there would be more grumbling about I wish I could see this. But having 5 tracks running at once, weirdly, it seems that people have been more willing to just go with a thing that they really like and appreciate that. So across the weekend, I've been in many of the rooms across the weekend sort of buzzing around that this has worked and this has started and this has started. I don't think I've seen any rooms that have been less than full. The podcast room has always been full. The panel room has always been full. The workshop room has always had plenty of people in it, as much as we were expecting. It's weird because we've got so many people here, because we've worked quite hard to get some interesting stuff in every room of this building that we're in. It's like everybody has found their place to be, and nobody's thinking, I wish I was somewhere else, because everything we've got in each room has worked. So everyone's like, there were lots of other options where I could have been, but I chose the right option.
I think even if people have felt like they'd seen feedback on another talk, or they think, I would have really liked to have seen that, they're not, as you say, they're not disappointed that they made a bad choice or think that. It's just that, wow, there was so much great stuff, and that just feeds into the overall positivity of the event. And we're not averse to having any criticism but genuinely, we have had such great positive feedback, people coming up to us personally saying what a great weekend it's been. A lot of people have come for the first time. There was a show of hands in the hall at the end of the day, how many people have come for the first time, and it was a significant proportion of the audience, and that's amazing that, you know, every single year more and more people are coming for the first time and enjoying it. So that's it's really rewarding, really, when that happens.
And I think the other interesting thing is that it's not just that we haven't heard anything from people saying, oh, this didn't work or that didn't work. We haven't heard anybody talking about someone else who said this didn't work or that didn't work. It's like everybody who's reporting what someone else said is like, oh, this was fun. This was a fun event. And what we've always wanted from QED is that everybody who comes thinks this is the event that I want to be part of. I want to contribute to. I want to make this event the best it could possibly be. That's what we've always wanted with QED, and making it bigger has weirdly only made that more prominent. That people thought, I recognise this is a bigger event. I want to do what I can to make this event better. And it seems like the bigger we've gotten this year, and we're 3 times bigger than we were in terms of the number of different events we're running at the same time, people have said, I want to do what I can to make this a more successful event, and it's been really fun.
I think one of the things that I do as my role is I organise all the volunteers, and I've had more volunteers this year than we've ever had before, which is amazing, and that's been quite hard in a way to juggle even more people who are wanting to help out. But we always try and make sure that people, you know, especially first time people, that they're only giving a short amount of time because they've paid to come, and, you know, that's the priority. But I've found that a lot of people have, you know, volunteered and done their little stint, but actually I've seen them still wearing their t-shirt or saying, oh, Nicola, do you need extra help here? And they seem to get a really rewarding experience out of volunteering and being part of the event. And I think as well with the panel, like you're saying, with the panels and the workshops, people feel like, actually, if I come again, I can contribute to this, and it's not just about what we decide to do or what we decide should be on. It's about, I can come to this and I can be part of it, and that's been a huge part of the feedback we've had from people.
I think it really does provide people with a sense of ownership. The last event we had in Sydney in 2014 that Marsh attended.
Oh, that was fantastic. Absolutely loved it.
We didn't have volunteers because we didn't need them because of this just the setup didn't require it. Yeah. But we had so many offers of so many people wrote to us or contacted us asking to volunteer, and they were disappointed when we turned them down, because I do think that's one of the things we discussed it over dinner earlier, that there is something about the skeptical movement, about there's a sense of ownership and a sense of common goal that means that when people come to an event like this, a lot of the people who come do not come to simply sit there and and just listen to talks. They come to be part of something.
Yeah, and I think if they're helping out, they're also banging to that, striving to make it the best event that it can be. Even if they're just doing a very small thing, they recognise that I can do something here that will make a difference, even in the smallest possible way.
Or make our community, our community the best it can be.
And it genuinely does make a difference. So we're really grateful for everybody that helps out and continues to do so. I think I was talking to someone in the bar earlier that I'd not met before, but there's been several QEDs, and they were asking me about whether there's a theme for the event or, you know, the topics that we cover, and I said, well, there isn't at all, but they'd noticed that there wasn't any sort of like religious-based discussions this year, whereas there have been in the past. You know, I was saying there was never any specific theme. There's never any created content in that regard. It's about who we think will be good and who's different, who haven't we had, who would our audience like to see, they might not have heard of but we think would be good. And we were saying that obviously 2016 has been a pretty horrific year so far around the world, and there's been a few discussions about the idea of post fact, what do we do in this society where people are turning away from experts and not wanting to listen, and we've not tried to be overly political in that, but it has been discussion, and how a few speakers talking about how do we make the world a better place, and obviously that's part and parcel of Skepticism anyway, in terms of whether it's like campaigns and public awareness of things, but that has been an undeliberate theme of a few of the speakers in the panels. How can we actually make the world a better place? What can we do that will actually make a difference? even if it's in a small way. But we've got a room full of 600 people here. We can all do something collectively.
I think that's it. And also, the fact that people no longer care about people with any expertise is why we've had the first ever Skeptics with a K live. Now, we no longer we no longer care about expertise. Now is the right time to have Skeptics with a K live at QED when expertise is no longer a concern.
Yeah, now we've been joined by Geoff, who's also one of the organisers of QED. Hello, Geoff.
Hi, I wasn't expecting to contribute, but I was just sitting here hoping to get people up to the bar, but there we are.
I think the bar is doing fine with that.
It probably is.
So how do you feel about, it's Sunday night after, all the hard work around QED?
How do I feel? Knackered.
Tell me about
knackered.
it. Tell me about it.
No, I feel absolutely, not just knackered, elated. I think this year we had absolutely pulled off, somehow, rabbit out of the hat, the best QED ever.
So, for people who are thinking of organising conferences, skeptical conferences in the world, obviously to get to where QED is not something that happens overnight, and it takes several years and all that. But what would your advice be?
Be prepared to sweat blood, without a shadow of a doubt. Be prepared to put in the time. I can absolutely guarantee you that all of the organisers of QED, and there are 6 of us, put in hours and hours and hours. And I'm prepared to say I only put in massive amounts of hours. Everybody else put in far, far more. Far, far more.
If you can see what you're trying to do, don't cut any corners. And that's been the key to QED, is that we try and do everything we can, the best that we can. And, we are volunteers. None of us put on QED for a living. None of us have event management for a living, but we have different types of skills here and there, and use the skills that are around you. But, just trying to make this the best event that you can, and think about when we're putting on all these different panels and podcasts and kind of main stage speakers, we're trying to think about what is it that we do as a community.
I think the shortest answer to your original question, Eran, was what might people need if they want to put on a QED, a similar type of event, is they need to find a Mike Hall. That is a short answer, because his bar is so incredibly high.
Yes.
It pushes us all to do the best that we possibly can and make sure that we're on our toes and thinking at every single step about what we need to do to make the conference work, and for people to not even have to think about what work has gone into doing it. They can just sit back and enjoy it. And so you need to find a Mike Hall if another one should exist in the world somewhere.
Okay,
Mike Hall has never cut a corner in his life.
No.
So I think the summary is we just need to all support the science of cloning.
Yeah.
Yes.
And that will if the skeptical movement supports cloning, then we will end up with better conferences.
Oh God! But if the solution to this problem is to clone Mike Hall, this is not a problem. We've got a larger problem we need to address. The solution to any problem should never be cloning Mike Hall. I suspect the answer to a problem being cloned Mike Hall is only the setup to a larger problem that we're going to have to address later in our lives.
And with that, I think, Whelan, thank you very much, and thank you for a great conference and for hosting me. And we'll see you hopefully next year.
Absolutely, and thank you.
Actually, I will see you.
I'll see you
in a few weeks. And you will be staying with me, so we'll get to hang out. And
I will. And thank you to Richard for editing this into something he can actually broadcast. Big thanks to Richard.
I actually think Richard would easily get 3 minutes out of this.
Okay. We love you, Richard, and we wish you were here. And I'm so sorry for Marsh.
Grain of salt now. Grain of salt, you gotta take it with a.
The Think Inc. Annual Pass. Think Inc., the people who brought you Dr. Neil deGrasse Tyson, James Randi, Dr. Ben Goldacre, Dr. Lisa Randall, Sam Harris, and many more, are delighted to announce their annual pass for 2017. This pass allows access to all their events. Priced at just $299, the average cost of 2 tickets, The annual pass will include VIP seating and a podcast and video versions of the event, just in case you can't make it in person. The Think Inc. annual pass is a perfect way for regular thinkers to maximise their experience, as well as a clever present for friends and family looking to explore smart answers to big questions. A highlight of the coming season is none other than Dame Jane Goodall. For more information and to get your annual pass, visit thinkinc.org.au.
Here's Maynard's spooky action at a distance.
Merry Christmas, Maynard!
Ho, 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 a rooty toot toot and a rubby bum bum.
What?
That's in the song, rooty toot toot and rubby bum bum. I think the Jackson 5 did it.
I see. That's a Christmas carol I've not heard. It's Christmas Day. The first time, I think, in all the years of the Skeptic Zone where a show has coincided with Christmas Day. I might be wrong, but it's the first one I can remember.
Ah, and there goes Santa racing.
Santa.
He's in a real hurry today because he's got to get a lot covered. I love Christmas Day because I usually spend it completely on my own. The world is completely silent except for a bus. Listen to that bus doing it. It's a bit of a Doppler there with the sound. Are fantastic. And of course, the buses in this area of the world where we are travel at a regulation 120 kilometres an hour.
I think they do. We're actually recording this message a couple of weeks ago at Madame Frou Frou on Glebe Point Road, which is our favourite cafe.
It is indeed. We do a lot of stuff here. That's the home of Bunga Bunga and the temporary home of the Skeptic Zone podcast, all that sort of stuff. But the big thing is on Christmas Day, spend it on your own. It's great because it's silent. The entire world is doing something else and people will leave you alone. It's the one day that people will leave you alone if you can get yourself on your own. People go, oh, it's so sad you spend Christmas Day. No, it's great to spend Christmas Day on your own because you can guaranteed not be interrupted. And, of course, you can always watch your favourite Christmas movies. And, of course, the most beautiful Christmas movie that said, really, to me, it means everything about Christmas. That's Die Hard 2. The one in the airport. It's a Christmas movie.
Of course. People actually do that. They make sure they watch Die Hard at Christmas time. That's amazing.
Yeah.
What a tradition that is.
Die Hard 1 and Die Hard 2, both great Christmas movies.
They are both great. What other Christmas movies would you recommend our listeners watch?
Jingle All the Way, the Arnold Schwarzenegger Christmas movie. Can't go past that.
But we have to wait until New Year's Eve for Can't Stop the Music, right?
That's right. It's a ritual in Australia, and I do hope it's repeated this year, ever since the Village People film. Not the Village People, right? It's Village People. They're people from the village, not the Village People. Big difference, people. I think they're a collective noun instead of a pronoun or something. Right into Richard. He loves the grammar when you're writing with that.
Yeah.
And Can't Stop the Music. And it's not You Can't Stop the Music, that's the song. There's a lot of grammar things. There's a lot of grammar faux pas you can make with Village People. Can't Stop the Music is what it is, and it's on New Year's Eve every single year since it's become available for television on Channel 9 in Australia. Sometimes they put it on early, sometimes they put it on at 3 in the morning, but it's always on New Year's Eve. And since I worked every New Year's Eve from 16 through to my 40s, and now since no one wants me to work anywhere on New Year's Eve or anywhere else for that matter, I can actually go home and watch it. And it's kind of a bit of a weird ritual in a life of mine that's full of weird rituals, New Year's Eve just being one of them. Because do you want to be out on New Year's Eve, or as me and most people who go clubbing call it, amateur night?
Well, in Sydney, you want to be home because the traffic is just ridiculous. Just ridiculous.
Yeah, and people with the big vuvuzelas, you don't want to be near that. Unless you've got one in your house, then that's all right.
So what's 2017 shaping up like for Maynard?
Oh, look, more unemployment, stretching to pay the rent, petitioning the government to defund the ABC. Those are the things I've got really planned, really. Apart from that, nothing much else.
But at least, as the months go by, you can keep up with your Maynard calendar.
That's right. As 2017 rolls on, you will be reminded every month of the ludicrousness of my life with the Maynard Pictorial 2017 calendar. Even in February, it's actually got some photos of what I look like when I'm going out on a date.
It does. Now, listeners, of course, they can get an early download of the calendar right now, in fact, if they support Maynard's podcasts.
That's right. Become a Patreon supporter of Planet Maynard for as little as $1 or $2 a month. You can start at that level. You can go right up to, like, buy me a Mazda. But, of course, you can start at the $1 or $2 level there. And that is the main income I get from the whole thing, which is why you don't see me doing much, because basically I can only afford public transport. And, you know, I usually keep myself covered when I'm doing that.
You do.
And you can go to patreon.com/Maynard. Get along there and, just give a little bit. And once a month it'll be deducted from your credit card. And let's face it, there's a lot of other stuff coming out of your credit card. Because if I know Skeptic Zone listeners, they're doing stuff they don't want, their partner to see on their credit card bill at the end of the month. You know what I'm saying, people? You know what I'm saying?
Yeah, that's absolutely right. And, of course, nobody will batter an eye if they just see a little Maynard on the credit card, will they? Or maybe they'll think evil thoughts. I don't know.
I think it just comes up as Patreon. I don't... Yes, you see. Yeah. So it could be anything. You could say, oh, no, I'm actually... I'm funding Richard Dawkins' next offensive Twitter tweet. You could say. That's what you could do.
You do celebrity impersonations of Richard Dawkins, I notice, yes.
This whole Twitter thing is great. Give me a scotch.
That's amazing. I thought that was Richard Dawkins.
It did. It sounded just like him. Oh, yeah. No, just get this one. I love watching Can't Stop the Music on New Year's Eve. Richard Dawkins.
Amazing. Honestly, I would have saw that. He does like... Actually, I happen to know Richard Dawkins does love watching Can't Stop the Music.
It's very true. And... of course, we've got New Year's Eve coming along, like we said, and you're blasting into the year. You're actually going to be overseas. You're going to be doing a Skeptics in the Pub in California.
Hey, yeah, that's right. In a couple of days, I'll be speaking on the 29th in Berkeley, and on the 30th down in the Orange County with the Orange County Science Club. And in Berkeley, it's the Bay Area Skeptics. So, in a couple of days, if you're in California, I hope to see you.
And I believe they do a lot of research there in that club, mainly into what to mix into drinks. They were the first people to ever put the idea into anyone's head of having vodka and Clamato juice.
And what?
Oh, come on. People, Clamato juice. You've obviously had that, haven't you?
No, go on.
Yeah, I think it's an ocean spray product. It
sounds like a disease.
It's a smush. It's basically tomato juice and clam juice together, so it's got a bit of a... Yeah, exactly, with vodka. Clamato. Oh, really? You should know about that.
I'll ask the people at the Orange County Science Club.
It's hard to get in Australia, but only in America would you get that, because I don't think anyone outside that really wants an oyster tomato kind of taste.
I don't know what to say to that. I don't know. It's Christmas. It doesn't matter. Have yourself a what? A
Clamato.
Clamato.
He's got to run downstairs, get a bottle of vodka, get a bottle of Clamato, and see what happens.
Well, as we record this a couple of weeks ago, we're actually sitting in Glebe Point Road here in Sydney, and it's a hot day. In fact, this is going to be some sort of record hot temperature day today. But in reality, I'm actually sitting in California near San Francisco and being nice and chilly cold.
If you're listening to the Skeptic Zone and going, oh, gee, I've sent the kids home on public transport and I'm alone on Christmas Day, why don't you have a listen to A Very Maynard Christmas? We've got 8 one-hour specials there featuring some of the best Christmas music that no one's ever heard. And maybe it's not the best Christmas music, and that's why you've never heard it. But it's all at maynard.com.au, including a new one I've done this year with Tim Ferguson, looking at 2016, the year that a lot of people are considering was a little bit evil. But look, every year I have is a bit of a bummer, so for me it's just a bummer for everyone else again this year.
Well, music I'd like to forget. 2016 is the year I'd like to forget, I think.
Well, Merry Christmas, Richard, and thank you for all your support this year. Look, he puts a lot of work into this show, so you should at least pay back a bit of what he's given in there. Saunders is given, and you should give it to Saunders. Oh, hang on, I'll have to rewrite that.
It never ends. A friend starts talking about his new Reiki master, and someone else just posted about another all-natural cancer cure that they don't want you to know about. As skeptics, we dedicate a lot of time trying to protect those around us, but there's a way that you can reach millions. Guerrilla Skepticism on Wikipedia is a group that is working to keep the best skeptical information at everyone's fingertips in all languages. Join us. Training is self-paced and fun, and we have our very own super secret Facebook group. You will be educating the world in your sleep. To find out more, email us at gsowteam@gmail.com. Guerrilla Skepticism. The time is now.
Music by bensound.com.
Thank you for listening to the Skeptic Zone on or near or just after Christmas 2016. This is the last episode of the Skeptic Zone for 2016. And a couple of weeks ago, I read out the predictions made by Australia's top psychics for this year, made at the end of last year. And as this year grinds on still, and ridiculous things happen, and yes, we've lost a lot of celebrities, and Carrie Fisher had a heart attack the other day, and I don't know what else is going on. It reminds us all once again, that people who claim that they can look into the future, psychics, mystics, and so on, can't. Or should I say, more correctly, there is no good evidence to suggest that they can live up to these claims, that they can look into the future and give their predictions. When we mark their homework again and again and again, they fail. Now, I'll keep my eye out, because this time of the year is when the media, probably all around the world, trot out psychics and seers and mediums to ask them what's coming up, what do they foresee for celebrities usually in the coming year. So keep an eye out for that, everybody. I don't think they'll be telling us anything too valuable or insightful. Well, with that thought running around my head for this week and for this year, 2016, goodbye. Should I say good riddance? Personally, it was a pretty rotten year for me when earlier in the year we lost Fred, the Skeptic Zone cat, and my own mother died earlier this year. So, yeah, 2016, goodbye and good riddance. But until next week, 2017, which I'm sure will be a lot better for everybody, this is Richard Saunders signing off from the Bay Area, San Francisco. You've been listening to the Skeptic Zone podcast. Visit our website at www.skepticzone.tv for contacts, an archive of all episodes since 2008, and our online store. Please support the Skeptic Zone by following us on Twitter @Skeptic Zone, liking us on Facebook, and leaving a review on iTunes. You can also show your support by subscribing via PayPal for as little as 99 cents a week. The Skeptic Zone is an independent production. The views and opinions expressed on the Skeptic Zone are not necessarily those of Australian Skeptics Inc. or any other skeptical organisation.